difference between the two of them. And then we have the 85% rule across the state, and that is county assessment. The county as a whole needs to be within 85 to 100% of what actual retail sales have been in real estate. So if you're in town, your house may be assessed at a higher percentage compared to appraised value or sales value. If you're in the county, it can be on the other side of that, but the county as a whole is to be above 85%, in total sales comparisons and that within the state.
So all these numbers are coming from Corey at the assessment or equalization office, who is a professional. This is her job. She's the expert, or their team are the experts on setting these numbers, correct?
Yes.
These aren't just crazy numbers. They're derived from a spreadsheet or a process or some kind of program, correct?
They are arrived at by trying to make an evaluation by visiting the exterior and the interior of the home, the size of the property, the location of the property. There's a number of things that go into it. Sometimes if they are not able to get into a home, maybe because the property owner asks them not to, then they have to make a judgment, from being outside the building. So, but yes, these numbers are arrived at in our courthouse.
So they're the subject matter experts, correct? That's their job.
That is their job, yes. Okay. Other questions or comments?
Mr. Howland, you haven't had an assessment or an appraise, you haven't switched houses or anything like that. You wouldn't have had that recently happen to you at this place, would you have?
I've been at this place for 50 years.
Yeah.
And I valued it at 150,000, but in the last couple of years, it seems my neighbors have been lucky. They did seem to find an attractive rich guy to buy one house, and the other house, apparently they must have come into a good inheritance. To buy that place, they actually paid more than the valuation.
Mm-hmm.
But
Do you know what your assessed value was in 2024 and 2025?
it was just, about $400 less than this. Well,
I have Beacon pulled up.
300 and some dollars less last year.
It was the same value.
I was too busy to complain last year.
All right. Any other questions for Mr. Heilman at this point? Okay. If not, thank you. And then
Thank you.
We'll address it later on when we get into the actual business portion of it. Robert Lear.
Well, I went down to the courthouse last week. I got the yellow sheet, and the yellow sheet just tells you what it's assessed at. It doesn't tell you your square feet. So I've never really checked the square footage of my home, so I had to do some research, and I found out the square footage of my home. And in the process, I was told that they didn't assess, or they didn't assess your unfinished parts of your home, or they have a reduced rate, however it works. And in the process of remeasuring all my rooms, I've got about 500 square feet of unfinished basement that they're counting as finished. So that's pretty straightforward. But I've invited them up to my house to verify that, and I don't know if they'll show up or not. But also, they don't have written down how they determine these assessments. My dad was an assessor. They don't have anything written down so that you could take it and figure out their logic. And at least that I saw, and I asked for information. Plus, they didn't have the comps ready, which is how they do their assessments. So nobody could really evaluate their assessed property taxes until they get that done. So their books aren't updated, and they said they're working on that. So, but I'm here tonight because of the approximately 500 square feet of my house that's being assessed as finished versus not finished, so. And then another thing is, are they taking outside dimensions of your house or the living space, which is the inside, the interior, between your interior walls? There's no documentation of that.
I
'Cause
believe it's the outside, but
if you
there's
take
not.
outside dimensions, that's not living space. So they got a problem. Anyway, I came for the 500 square feet, that's my case. And I've offered my spare time, since I have plenty of it, to help them out at the county, but I haven't heard anything back from them, so. Anyway, any questions?
Any questions? Okay, and you have a proposed value here of 396, and that they have an assessed valuation of 504.
Right.
Can you give me a little background on how you were, arrived at your 396?
Well, I used 3 properties in my neighborhood. One of them sold, so I know what the value of that was. I used the one next to your property, and then I used mine at the 504, figured out an average, kind of an averaged square foot, which is what they would probably do. If we have more comps, they'd probably be more accurate, but I just used those 3 values, and that's what I came up with. Now, as we were talking earlier, I completely deducted the 500 square foot off completely. But if they do tax at a lower rate, then that'll have to be adjusted again to accommodate for that. So,
All right,
that's it.
I will note that there is an error on this form. He has a total value at 443, 396 being the building and 47 for the land.
Yeah.
It's just transversed on the form.
okay. Would you repeat those numbers again? I don't have those.
Yeah, absolutely. He has a total value of $443,618, land value of $47,000, and a building value of $396,618, omitting the cents.
Okay. All right, thank you. Okay, thank you.
Bet.
Is Conrad here? I don't see him.
Yeah.
Oh, there, yep. Okay.
I think it's all presented on the paper,
Okay.
my case, I guess.
Anyone have any additional questions? Okay, thank you.
What,
Go ahead.
do we know the value in 24 and 25 on this one? Kelly, do you have this?
I can look it up here quick.
Kelly, you got your computer there. Did you pull it
Yeah.
up?
He's got it.
So 2025, 265, 600, I think that aligns. 2024, 265, 600.
So it actually went down from the past 2 years.
I think it was 262, but maybe I'm wrong on that, but
Yeah, this is according to Beacon unless,
Okay,
so in this one, you did have an appraisal, is my understanding, or
two,
two appraisals?
well, I don't know if you call them appraisals, but they were, realtor walked, certified market something, I think.
Okay.
estimated market value,
Yeah, they estimated market value, total market value.
okay.
So is there physical documentation of that, or is that word of mouth, or?
My brother's got the physical documentation of it, but yeah.
Okay.
Okay. All right, anything else you'd like to add at this point?
No.
All right, thank you. Jared Keene? Is Jared here? Tyler Fods? Okay, seeing none. We will move into consideration and action on appeal number 2026-01, parcel number belonging to Silas Kruger at 111 North Liberty Avenue.
Mary Lindsay, somebody was raising their hand.
I think we misunderstood the opportunity for public.
If you'd come up, please, and then speak into the microphone and that for the benefit of those that are listening otherwise.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
So I just wanted to add a few things. I submitted a letter.
What's your name?
Silas
Oh, you're
Kruger.
okay.
Okay,
Yeah. So another thing I'd like to be considered is just that with these two properties, there has been a lot of deferred maintenance on them. So I think they've actually gone down in value over the last couple of years rather than up.
okay. And so on here and that, the assessed valuation on the first one that I'm reading is assessed at 133,700. You're proposing 115,
Yes.
okay? Aside from what you just said, do you have something else in that kind of covers your reason for going down? Because according to what I have in front of me, it was purchased for 115 through a contract for deed that was completed 2 years ago.
It's not quite complete yet, but it's going to be completed.
Okay, so from 2 years ago, at 115, being assessed at 133, I guess what I'm looking at is the assessor would be looking at it as a comparable to some other businesses or properties that have already sold, rather than what it actually sold for. Because if you remember what I said a minute ago, we have appraised value is what they think it'll sell for, and we have assessed valuation as to how they compare it to the assessments of other properties that are similar. Does that make sense? They don't
Yes.
have to be the same number. Okay?
Yeah, that, I understand that.
Okay, so I guess my suggestion here is whatever we come up with as a commission, it is, your opportunity to get the assessor to walk through your property, and then ask them for the comparables that they would use to compare it to, rather than the sales value, because the sale can be above or below assessed valuation. And assessed valuation is how the property compares with others of similar amenities,
Okay.
okay? So, and then on the other one, where it says assessed at 96.6, and your proposed value of 78,000, it says here, according to the courthouse, the assessed valuation has not changed from 24 to 25.
Yeah, and I would say it should have gone down based on what it looked like last year compared to this year.
Okay,
Are those both contract for deed properties?
No.
No, one you own outright and the other one you're still in.
Yes.
So the Northwest First Street location, you own that one outright?
Yes.
And when was that purchased?
Like less than a month ago.
Okay.
okay. And again, I'll reiterate, sales price and assessment prices don't have to match. So, because we do have properties that sell below assessed valuation, and we have properties that sell above assessed valuation, and there can be multiple reasons why, and that, but assessed valuation is how the property compares to others for the same tax reasons, so that everybody is taxed as close as, to equal as possible. Okay? So, anything else you'd like to add?
Well, I have a question.
Certainly.
Was an appraisal completed on your Northwest First property at all? Done?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
Any other things you'd like to add?
No.
Okay. Right now in that, we're in the consideration of action, and so what I'm going to do is open it up to the commission and that, and then we will discuss it and come up with what amongst us we feel, is fair between either at one number or the other number or somewhere in between, and then we will send that on to the courthouse, where the county commission gets to go through this again and either agree or disagree with the number we come up with. Does that make sense? And
Yes.
so, having not been through the properties, but having driven around the properties and then seeing what was provided to us by the courthouse, that's kind of where we come up with the number that we work with. Does that help?
Yeah.
Okay? Doesn't mean that we're perfect, but at least, it gives the assessor an idea of the discussions that we've had in relationship to, the numbers that have been presented to us. Okay? All right.
I think you had one more. You wanted one more public comment, or you wanted to?
Well, we're in the business portion of it now, but do you have anything else that you'd like to add?
Oh, you have another gentleman. They didn't catch the public comment.
Okay, certainly. Come on up and join him. Yes. Yeah, there's not a limit on chairs. We could have had 2 chairs sitting there.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Samuel Kruger, Silas Kruger's brother. I work as the property manager for the 2 properties listed. And so I understand the sale of the property, that price doesn't have to be perfectly correlated with the assessed value. However, I'm wondering, and maybe you explained this already, if it is a consideration in the assessment, because 2 properties in a row that were purchased significantly below the assessed value seems to be creating a little bit of a concern that perhaps they are assessed too high, but I'm wondering, maybe I'm not fully certain on if it's even a factor.
You are correct in everything you just said, And so when the assessor makes a determination, not always have they been to the property or in the property. They rely on the paperwork that was there before them. What gives the assessor a chance or a reason to go look at a property is when someone gets a building permit and they're going to do a remodel or something like that. Then the assessor will ask, to come visit the property after that is completed, and then they'll make a full determination. Because with all the properties that there are in the city of Madison, and that they rely a lot on the information provided before, by whoever, saw the property way back when. As an example, the assessor has not been through my house since about 1980. But there also hasn't been any changes on the inside of the house either since 1980, because mine's finished upstairs and downstairs. So if there's no changes to the property, they still consider it to be comparable to other properties that were compared to before that haven't made changes. And then they rely on what occurs in the real estate market to adjust, for the future. So if one property is left going downhill and one is going uphill, they may not notice that, you know, unless there is a reason for them to come visit the property. And then the other thing is when a property sells, and that, you know, a sale of the property is an agreement between the buyer and the seller, not necessarily how the assessment compares with other properties that are like it. Am I making sense?
And they might be equal, high and low, but they're trying to be high across the board or low across the board, equal amongst all properties.
Okay, so if there are some properties that are purchased above or below, then the goal would be to have those balance out in the end. Is that correct?
Well, what a property sells for is not a comparison. What a property sells for is what the realtor can get for it at the time it comes for sale. Does that make sense? As an example, when we bought our house in 1978, the market was high. The market then fell, and our house was overpaid for it for at least the next 5 years till the market came back up. But our assessment didn't go down because of that. And an assessment is to share the value of the governmental services across the board on as equal a basis as they can. And the way they do that is by comparing one property against another property against another property, and they all should be assessed relatively in the same neighborhood.
Okay, I think I understand, but I just want to make sure. So I guess an open market, I would think the value of something is determined by the market rate, what people will pay for it. That would determine its value. But is that not a consideration here?
It's not a consideration because that's not comparing the apples to apples to apples. The apple here may sell for this and the orange may sell for this, and they may be comparable at one time but not comparable at another time, you know, in terms of sales. But in terms of equal, and that for taxation purposes, that's what assessment is trying to make all the properties that are similar paying as much of the same amount of tax as they can. As an example, Mr. Heilman, who spoke before you, his house and the house next to him, the houses are comparable, but his was rated a little higher because he had more property go with it. And so, you know, those are things that the assessors take into consideration. But even though the houses may not be identical in design, they're comparable for assessment purposes for taxation. Okay?
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Anything else you'd like to add before we move forward?
That's all. Thank you.
Well, thank you for being here. Okay, so we are on consideration and action on Appeal 2601 for 111 North Liberty Avenue. And at this time, I'd ask for discussion among the commission.
I guess in regards to this property and the one next, I tend to err on the side of the property owner in a case. I do think sales and appraisals are generally what we should be aligning our assessment values with. With that said, obviously there is some property value increase just as it is from the purchase sale price from those years. So I could see a slight reduction from what the current assessed value or the current future assessed value would be. With the hopes that, obviously, that as you improve those properties, they will be reassessed after taking out building permits and the such. So I guess for the first one, I'd like to see that one set at about $125,000. So I'll make a motion to set the assessed value for property at 111 North Liberty Avenue in the amount of $125,000.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Discussion.
We would need to see that broken out by property and building, land and building
Each
value.
one as we go.
Correct.
So
So Dan, in 2023, that's exactly what it was assessed at, with 23,900 being the land value and 101,100 being the building value, if that's a suggestion.
And that was the year it was purchased then?
Well,
Correct.
They would purchase it in 2024, is that correct, Silas?
I believe the one was
Okay,
2023.
okay.
And Amy, did you catch those numbers he just read?
23.9 for land.
And 101.1 for building.
Thank you.
Any other discussion?
Just on a side note, if we set this value, I assume then it's gonna be behind next year. So they'll catch up that value, because they'll use the same formula, correct?
That is a possibility,
How do we
yes.
ever, okay.
The proper thing then would be for them to have the assessor come and tour the property where they can get a, better comparison in that when they compare to other properties.
So, my understanding is I don't think they put every property into a formula and calculate it every year. They look at neighborhoods, they look at comparable sales, and, in this case, many properties across the community were not changed. Several, appeals here you can see are the same from previous years, so, they could change it again next year. Every year they have the opportunity to reevaluate and reassess those properties. But it's likely they're not gonna be reassessing them unless they're seeing a significant change in that group or category of properties.
Or unless asked to by the owner. Other discussion? If not, do we have a motion? Or we have a motion. Okay, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, on number 2, 816 Northwest First Street. Assessed valuation of 96.6, proposed valuation of 78,000. Okay, discussion.
Do you know what that was in 23 on that one?
Yeah, it was 89,700.
89,000?
Yep.
I'd like to see it go back to that level.
And the breakdown was?
24,200 for land and 65,500 for building.
Further discussion.
So, I mean, this one was just purchased though, right? A month
Correct.
ago for 78,000.
And again, purchase price and assessment don't necessarily have to equal each other. It's a comparison of property to the other properties that are assessed at a similar value.
I had originally marked putting that at 85,000.
I haven't been by this property, but you don't see a whole lot of properties below 100,000, even, on the market. But again, I didn't do any research to look at it.
I did comparisons in that, and I agree with what you just said. And in my notes in that, I had leaving it at the assessed value of 96.6.
Yeah, I'm kind of inclined to agree with leaving it where it is. If it was just purchased a month ago, presumably the buyers would have known what the assessed value for the property taxes were at the time of purchase. So, it's not like, getting a new assessment and being surprised that, oh, there's been a major change. Since the purchase was just made a month ago, the property tax value would have been pretty well known then.
Yeah, I haven't heard a motion yet. Does anyone have a motion they want to make?
I'll make a motion to set the assessed value at $89,700.
I assume that the breakdown that Kelly provided for 2023 numbers?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Hey, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, on Richard Heilman's property, 1424 Southwest First Street. Assessed value of 263.6. He proposes 200,000. Similar properties next door are 200. So anyone have a suggestion?
I guess my comments on this one, I would leave it as assessed, just by looking at neighboring properties. The one sold to it next door for roughly $250,000. It appears there is more property on his land, so I'm leaning towards leaving it at the assessed rate.
Other discussion? Do we have a second?
I guess with that, I'll make a motion to leave it at the current rate.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
can we explain to the homeowners too, that this isn't the end all, like,
No, it goes from here to the county.
yeah. Did we already do that? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mentioned that earlier, but I will mention it again. Yeah, what we send over goes to the county, and so, you can check with the county and see when they, have it on their docket, and then again, you'll have an opportunity to speak again. So, all right, 418 Cedar Court, Robert Lair's property. And, the current assessed value is 504,300. His proposed is 396.
It's,
No, 443.
correct.
Yep. And the house next to me started at 499, has been dropped down to 459.9, has been on the market for 279 days. So, it has not sold yet. I was leaning, in the neighborhood of somewhere around, proposed valuation of, in the 440, 450. I'm just throwing that out for, discussion.
Again, us not being experts in it, it's very difficult to throw numbers here. We could sit here and argue, throw numbers either way, and I
Well, one of the
This is
things
difficult.
that I took a look at too is how many homes have we had within the city that sold for over 500? And I have a difficult time, I find a number of them in the fours, but I've had a difficult time finding anyone that is, over 500. And so, I guess that's where I was leaning to, lower it down.
So proposed was 443. And then it's assessed at, what was it?
504,300.
504?
Hey, here's the thought here.
they had the basement, he was gonna have them look at.
House. Unfinished basements are taxed, but at a lower value than the finished portion. So, the square footage in that would have received consideration for tax purposes, just not at the same level as a finished portion.
But my understanding is that assessor did take that into account. Would that be accurate?
Correct.
In 2023, the assessed value was 476, and that was a pretty significant increase from the year before. Hold on. Okay, 2022 is missing from this table for some reason. But in 2021, it was 313.
That's a pretty large jump.
On that 476 number, do you have the property or the building and the land?
Yes, the land value was 40,900, excuse me, and the building value was 435,500.
435?
435,500, yes.
Other discussion? Do we have a motion?
I'll motion to have it changed to 435 overall with 40,900 to the, 40,900 to the land. And then I'm gonna start over. I make a motion to change the assessed value to total to $476,000
I know where you're going.
with 435,000 of it to the property or to the building and 40,900 to the land.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, on 720 Northeast Sixth Street, and that, which is Conrad Krayling's property. Okay, assessed valuation, and that is 249,282. His proposed valuation is 216,240. Discussion. And I'll throw this out on the two of them. He had indicated, that appraisers had said, 205 to 219. When I looked at comparisons in that, and after driving by the property, and that, I don't have anything to disagree with that. I would throw out the 219 to 225 range as a comparable for assessment purposes. Discussion?
I'm going to make a motion to leave this one at the assessed value of 249. Based on, it's already a decrease from the previous assessment value. It's quite a significant decrease from what has been valued at previously, so I think unless there's some reason why this property has degraded more than expected, the 249 seems reasonable to me.
I'll second that motion.
Hey, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. 117 South Egan Avenue is owned by Jared Keene, the former Madison Video and Music Building. And that, the assessed valuation, 184,860. Former value was 39,100 in 2024 and 25. Proposed value from the owner is at 80,000. Discussion.
So was this based on a building permit? Do we know that?
Yes, it was. They had filed a building permit for significant work, which was not completed. Some of it has been, and I know they've been in communication with Corey at Department of Equalization.
Having been in that building before all the blinders went up on the window, I would agree with the proposed value, but then again, if they've done some partial work inside, I have not seen that. So, but I did feel that the former valuation going from 39,100 to 184, there would have to be a significant amount of work done inside for me to justify that $150,000 increase.
Was there a dollar amount on the building permit?
I don't know that. I haven't seen the building permit. But I guess just to flush this out a little bit more, so they applied for, received a building permit, did some level of work. Equalization tried connecting with them to get a tour or a visit of the property so they could see it and reassess it in person. Were unable to connect, and so they, just assumed that the building permit that was requested, that the work was being requested, that was completed, and so they reassessed the value based on that. They have since connected with the property owner, and their advice to the property owner was to appeal through this process, because once their assessed values are locked in, the equalization office can't visit and change it after the fact. So they said they should work through this appeal process and propose what they think is the most reasonable assessment, and their number they came up was $80,000. And so whatever you guys want to change it to, obviously that's your role here. It will be visited, it will be reassessed this year. Since they've now connected, they'll make sure to look at the property more closely. So for next year's values, it will be more closely aligned with what equalization feels is fair.
I think we need to err closer to that assessed value then. Once they go through, then they can
Well, and the other thing is whatever number we chose to set it at here, the assessor will be at the meeting at the county commission, and they can, adjust it to where they feel, it should be. But we are the starting point.
knowing what's going on, it's.
Well, I'm wondering if the proposed value was kind of an agreement between the assessor and the people at this point, because that's still more than double what it was the previous year. So
I don't believe assessor's office has been involved. They haven't looked at the property yet, so the $80,000 is the number that came specifically from the property owner. Yeah, just their best guess of what the work that was completed, and they feel the value would be of the property now.
I think we gotta assume it's closer to the completion state than the beginning, without knowing. I'm thinking, again, just throwing numbers, 150 to 160.
On this one here and that, since you can't see in the windows and that, I guess we have to shoot from the hip.
Gotta assume.
Thoughts?
Yeah, without any input, I'd say just err on the side of caution there. I'd be in the same area. If somebody wants to make a motion around there.
It's hard to argue against the assessed value, not knowing what's going on.
And again, when it comes before the county,
Right.
the assessor will be there to agree or disagree with whatever number we put there.
I don't know.
Yeah, I guess I would just leave it at the assessed value.
Yeah.
If they were here to speak on the behalf of the property and what has been done and what hasn't, that would have been helpful.
You want to make that in a motion?
Make a motion to leave the assessed value of $184,860.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. 913 North Josephine Avenue, FODS. Assessed value $287,486. Proposed value of $280,000. And the value on here says it's unchanged from 20 to 25. And again, you know, the property owner has some things in here using the 85%, and that, but that is countywide, not necessarily citywide. So the valuation could be close to, assessed value could be close to market value, or it could be, you know, 15% down. So with that, I'll open it for discussion.
Yes, I'm comfortable with the 187, 486, the assessed value, leaving it,
The 287?
or 287, sorry, 287, 486, the current assessed value.
You want to make that as a motion?
I'll make that motion, whatever the current card has for land and building values.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right. So with that, do we have a motion to adjourn as a Board of Commissioners?
Before you adjourn, you gotta remember, the last item on the agenda, I put my agenda away, is reviewing the assessment roll. And so we have an assessment roll here, I'll pass it down, and you need to take action to, I don't know, approve, accept, do you know what the right verb would be? It would be kind of in here more. Obviously, with this many properties, it's hard to know whether they're all accurate. That's why the Equalization Office does their work throughout the year. But this is something that is available for you to review and make any comments on it if you'd like. And pending none, then you would have a motion to, I'll say approve the 2025 assessment roll from last year.
And I'll just notice in that as you're going through and reading in that, you'll notice that the lot size, that the lot valuations vary, and so do the home valuations. And of course, it has to do with location of the lot, size of the lot, whether or not there's floodplain involved or not floodplain involved, whether or not, you know, you have an alley and that. So there's a lot of things that go into consideration in terms of lot value versus the home for comparison purposes, so. Okay. Any questions or comments on the review of the assessment rolls? I know it goes quickly in that, but we basically are just to review and see that the work has been done. And we have to leave that with the assurance that those that are going through it and that have done their due diligence, so. Okay? Jameson disappear?
Yeah. Well, I'll move to accept the assessment roll.
All right.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, now do we have a motion to adjourn as the Board of Commissioners?
So moved.
Okay. Second. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. So we are out of the commission, our Board of Commissioners at 6:24. And with that, do we want to take just a 4-minute break? And that, for anyone that wants to use the restroom or anything, and then begin again? Is everyone? All right, everyone's good? All right, then we will move into the Board of Commissioners agenda. And so I'll call the meeting to order at 6:25. Thank you for attending. Okay?
Very well done.
Well, thank you, thank you. Thank you. Okay, Amy, would you take roll, please?
Yes. Commissioner Dibdahl,
Here.
Commissioner Wolf,
Here.
Commissioner Wire,
Here.
Commissioner Barish,
Here.
and Mr. Mayor Lindsay.
Here. You have before you the agenda for this evening.
Motion to approve the agenda?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Is there anything anyone wants to discuss on the consent calendar? If not, do we have a motion?
Motion to approve the consent calendar.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Seeing no unfinished business, under new business, approve proposal and agreement, City of Madison Sanitary Sewer Televising 2026 HK Solutions Group. And Jameson or Ryan, you want to address this one?
Sure, thank you. So this item is an agreement between the city and the contractor, excuse me, HK Solutions. This contract would allow them to clean and televise 6,000 linear feet of sanitary sewer at 5 locations within the city where we plan to do construction projects in the next few years. These segments would coincide with the segments on the 2025 through 2029 infrastructure improvement plan. The utilities department identified and budgeted for this work, and because the total cost is below the threshold requiring formal bidding, the city, in coordination with Banner Associates, obtained price from 2 contractors through an RFP process and selected the contractor accordingly. The amount of this agreement and contract would be $13,361.76. Conducting these inspections in this video would allow us to see the interior condition of the pipes, identify any structural issues, and locate service connections, including any protruding taps. The inspection data could be utilized immediately for that, as well as moving forward with planning and future capital improvement projects. And I will stand by if you have any questions for me.
We've used this company before, haven't we?
Yes, we have.
I thought so.
Yeah. They do a lot of the video records of our sanitary sewer lines, and then they also did the cured in place pipe projects.
Questions or comments?
Ryan, do you know what we had budgeted for this?
I don't know the exact amount. I believe that the estimate was between 10 and 15,000, and I believe it is under budget.
Other questions? If not, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the agreement with the City of Madison for sewer televising to HK Solutions Group in the amount of $13,361.76.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Number 8, approve engineering services agreement amendment, ARPA segments 1 through 6 with Banner Associates Incorporated. And again, I'm going to ask Ryan if you want to address this one.
Yes, thank you. So this letter is a request for adjustment to compensation regarding some additional engineering services for 2 engineering contracts. One's dated July 5th, 2022. That was for the Northwest 9th Street utility and street improvements. And then the second contract was dated November 7th, 2022 for the ARPA segments 2 through 6. Banner Associates provided additional design services, construction administration, and observation over the original contracts due to some redesigns needed on 9th Street, and then some extensions beyond the anticipated construction schedules on some of the other projects. The requested modifications are an additional $22,512 for that segment 1 or Northwest 9th Street and Union Avenue, and 39,400 for segments 2 through 6. With some of those segments you'll see in the packet seeing an increase, while others see a small decrease or staying the same. Included in the agenda packet is a letter from Pat, Carey, and West and Blasius from Banner, as well as a memo which outlines and notes the changes in scope to services from those original agreements. Weston is also here to explain some of the detail and answer any questions, and I will also stand by.
Weston, if you'd like to address it, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And the microphone's already on, so you're in good shape.
Perfect. So Weston Blasius with Banner Associates. Like Ryan had stated, this is a request for an amendment to our engineering agreement with the city. He had stated it's two separate contracts. So these two separate contracts are still part of one large project that the city had undertaken as a multi-year project. And there were 6 segments of work that were completed. And that total value of the project, the total funding package that was requested and awarded to the city was $18 million, or just over $18 million. So with that, Banner and the City of Madison entered into an agreement, 2 separate ones, for segment 1 that was already in design and going to construction. Banner had provided construction services for the City of Madison on segment 1 project. Segment 2 through 6, that was an agreement with Banner to provide the design services as well as the construction services. The agreement was set up as an aggregate amount, so that meaning that it was a total amount for engineering services. We had identified an amount of dollars that would be associated with design and another amount of dollars that would be associated with construction. After design was completed, there was this amendment number 2. So amendment number 1 covered the reconciliation of the design and construction dollars. So when design was completed, there was additional dollars remaining underneath that design allocation, and they were moved over to the construction phase of work. And as construction ensued between segments 2 through 6, and they weren't chronological, but generally in that order, we had reevaluated our budget for each one of the segments on construction, because internally, Banner had identified a budget for each project to, I guess, try to ensure at the end that we were going to be able to stay within the budget for the City of Madison. As we got closer to the segment 5 projects, both of those projects had went beyond the completion dates. And as they went beyond the completion dates, the budget for construction had been exceeded. And so to date, Banner has been compensated our fees up to that original agreement amount. So there hasn't been a requested increase until this point. Now that we've reached near the end of construction, there's still closeout efforts that are remaining on both the segment 5A and the segment 5B project, which would be 4th Street and Union Avenue would be segment 5A, and Highland Avenue would be segment 5B. So as that construction continued and we had additional fees or efforts on the project, that's related to the request for this amendment. And so following up with that, our additional request, like Ryan had mentioned, was $22,512.10 for segment 1. On segment 2 through 6, that value is $39,400 in that request. I will add there is $15,000 that has not been, that we have not had fees on yet. That $15,000 is to get through the closeout stages of the project. Now, this is an hourly to a max contract, so the city would then be billed those fees on an hourly basis up to that $15,000.
Okay. And Ryan, have we received those ARPA dollars to cover this in the process, or is this above and beyond?
I know that, I believe Heather has recently submitted some additional engineering invoices. I'm not sure if we've received those yet or not.
Okay.
But it's eligible.
Okay.
Yeah, Ryan's correct. Eligible, have not received yet.
Okay. Other questions or comments?
So what's the difference in a service agreement amendment and a change order?
The change order would be, generally
Work.
for construction, for a change in scope. Our amendment, what we would, when we would request an amendment, it would generally be in a change of scope of our engineering agreement. And I will add, because I don't have the numbers in front of us here, but First District does track the budget for the city, and I mean, the city internally tracks that as well. There are additional funds remaining that will not be utilized likely. I don't have that final number, but, once we're able to make final payments to the contractor, and then, depending on what's decided with this engineering contract, that'll give a little more clarity of what that final number is, or what that final expense is for the city.
Speaking of the contractor, have all services been met and brought up to date, or do we still have some punch list left to go?
The punch list work has been completed. They have reached final completion on both projects. There still is, obviously, these projects, they hold a 1-year warranty, so it'd be a 1-year warranty walkthrough in 2026. If there's additional defects identified, then those will need to be corrected by the contractor.
Okay. Other questions? If not, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the service agreement amendment with Banner Associates. Do you want the value?
No, it's not necessary.
Okay.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Number 9, adopt an updated grant policy. Jameson, Amy, you want to address this one?
Absolutely. Sure, this is just an updated grant policy for the city, something we looked at with the new auditing firm. One of the recommendations they had was a pre-grant qualification form that comes directly from department heads, asks very introductory information to the grant policy, the sources, the amounts, the project. So it just gives a pre-step clarity before the grant process begins, and that has been included into the grant policy.
Kind of like a building permit for a grant?
Sort of.
Sort of, okay. Other questions or comments? If not, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to adopt an updated grant policy.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Resolution 2026-03, recognizing and approving Madison as an official America's 250th South Dakota community. Jameson, you want to address that?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I can give some background on this. So I think people are probably generally aware that this year is the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. And so the country has been making preparations to celebrate that occasion. And then the state of South Dakota has created a committee called America's 250th SD. That's where the SD comes in for the name here. A committee that's working on celebrating at a state level. And I guess that can trickle down to the local level here, and they are encouraging communities to celebrate it in our own ways and try to join in with festivities at the state and national level as well. Julie Brew, is that how you pronounce your last name? Julie Brew is here from the Lake County Museum. And Julie, if I'm correct, you're on the state's committee? Yep, so she'll be, I'm sure, happy to answer any questions that you might have towards the activities there. And so this resolution for us acknowledges the activities that are going on in the process where about we got here, and it also creates a committee of diverse group of citizens that can work with the state committee on any activities that Madison wants to hold here. And I know there's one idea for reading the Declaration of Independence at the same time across the country, and I'll let maybe Julie explain more about that. And
Julie,
anything
would
else
you
you'd
like
want.
to come up and add to this?
Sure, we're just, Jameson and I have been, talking back and forth a little bit. So we're just in the preliminary stages, with the city of Madison. But, as Jameson said, I am a part of the state commission. And so what other cities have been doing is kind of keeping it fairly simple. On July 8th of this year, communities across the nation are getting together and reading the Declaration of Independence at the same time. It's about a 10-minute read, so not too long. And they're holding festivities. Some of the communities throughout South Dakota are, the cities are having municipal band concerts. Veterans groups are organizing something, a flag or some sort of ceremonial tribute. So I think that keeps it fairly simple and fairly cost-effective as well. So that's what we're trying to do here. Not only we're trying to keep it cost-effective, but also I don't have a lot of time, and I know, the city of Madison, and also, people committing time to be on the committee. So we're being very conscious about that as well. So, and then also people's time, but also monetary, we're being conservative with that as well. And I'm looking at a DAR grant, Daughters of the American Revolution. They committed money to this event as well. So we'll be applying for a grant. I'll be applying as well, and I'll send it through the city of Madison. So we are looking at funding as well.
That's perfect. We've got a new grant policy that we can take for a spin. Yeah.
There we go. So does anybody have any questions about anything?
Questions,
or ideas?
comments?
Okay,
No, it's a great milestone, 250th. So,
okay.
thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions or comments? If not, do we have a motion?
Make a motion to approve resolution number 2026-3.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. March 26, finance updates. Jameson, Amy?
Okay. We do have an update for the 2024 audit. The draft is completed and circulating Williams Management for review. We have been busy working with the library leadership to review existing library accounts and gift funds to ensure compliance with state law, municipal accounting standards, Department of Legislative Audit guidance, and appropriate city oversight and accounting procedures. Finance continues to strengthen internal procedures and fiscal oversight through ongoing policy reviews, enhanced financial controls, and improved documentation practices. This update covers year-to-date activity through February of 2026, which is 16.7% of the fiscal year. Cash on hand, we have general cash at $9.91 million, investments $2.69 million, checking $4.28 million, money market $573,000, certificates and other at $788,000, our electric construction account at $1.58 million, and restricted cash of $640,000. Our revenue guidelines, and I would say overall most funds are tracking close to budget at this point in the year. Many of the variants we are seeing, or you will see in the next coming slides, are primarily related to timing, as several revenues such as property taxes, transfers, grants, and debt issuances have not yet been received, and many capital projects have not yet begun. Operational funds, including water, electric, sewer, solid waste, and the community center, are generally performing within expectations. Electric sales are currently ahead of projections, while most capital expenditures across funds are below budget due to projects not yet underway. At this time, overall expenditures across funds remain at or below budget, and finance staff will continue monitoring. Our expenditure guidelines. Profit and loss for February. Year to date. This is our conduit accounts. And no activity, actually, we probably initiated this a little bit after the fact. I wish we would have done this a little bit sooner, but we'll implement this in anything going forward.
And this might be one of those things that we don't put in every month, but if there's something to note, to report back, we'll include a slide like this on those accounts that we are using as a conduit.
Sales tax was not in, but I did receive that late this afternoon. It is up 2.6% in February, which brings us overall negative 7.76 year-to-date.
$7.76 year-to-date, positive or negative?
Negative.
Okay, I was wondering on that, so, because I saw January's there, so. All right, questions or comments? Hey, seeing no public comment, under announcements, the next city commission work session will be Monday, March 23rd, 2026 at 12 p.m. Here in the commission room. Easter on Egan will be Saturday, April 4th at 11 a.m. on downtown Egan Avenue. And our next regular commission meeting will be April 6th, 2026 at noon, 12 p.m. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, everyone.